Hi, everyone. As people are joining and making their way in the room, I want to say welcome back to our afternoon session of Charleston in Between, the future of scholarly communication in a ChatGPT world. I'll give folks just a few moments to join, get their audio set up, and then I'll move into some housekeeping announcements. But we're really glad that you're here. Thank you for joining us. The session is being recorded and the videos will be sent to all registered attendees. We're going to do a 48-hour turnaround for those, so look for them to come in your inbox soon. While you're joining and getting set up, please do use that attendee chat to let us know what type of attendee you are and where you're joining us from. Let me turn the chat on to make sure everybody can talk to one another. Hold on just a moment to set that. Panelists, and there you go. Now you should be able to talk to everyone. Use the chat, tell us where you're from, librarian, publisher, vendor, other. And if you are joining us with a group rate registration and you're in a classroom or a meeting room setting, let us know how many are there in your group registration. We saw some earlier today from Virginia Tech and some other library and institutions that were doing group rates. So we're really interested to see those group rate numbers as well. So the attendee chat is great for comments and questions and welcome, but please do use that Q&A button at the bottom to ask questions for our panelists for their presentations. We're going to do a Q&A after each presentation today, so we'll address those questions as they come in. The afternoon agenda, we're going to have 3 presentations from BMJ, AIP Publishing, and ProQuest TDM Studio. And for that portion, to thank our sponsors, I'm going to turn this over to Caroline Goldsmith, who is our Associate Director of the Charleston Hub. Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you. Welcome everyone to our afternoon sessions. We have 3 fantastic presentations for you guys, and we want to thank BMJ, AIP, and ProQuest, of course. And since we're on a tight schedule, we're going to go on and get into it. First up, we have BMJ and Manisha Belina doing their presentations. She's the Senior Sales Manager. So welcome, Manisha.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me today. I'm really happy to be here. And today, well, I'm just going to quickly share my screen there. Today, I'm going to be talking about BMJ Impact Analytics. So BMJ Impact Analytics is a brand new data source and tool created by BMJ together in collaboration with Overton to track real world impact, right? So I'm going to talk about a little bit about what that means. In a world full of academic metrics where we can see our impact factors and our citations and academic citations, it's absolutely fantastic to have those data to help us understand what our research output is. But the more and more we think about healthcare and we think about medicine, academic metrics are great, but really we want to be able to understand what really happened down to patient level when all that research was conducted and created and went out there into this universe, into our world. So after 2 years of R&D, BMJ listened to their customers and listened to the community to understand, what are their biggest challenges. And one of the biggest challenges they faced was really understanding what happens to research and what kind of impact their research is having outside of academia and provide evidence to support that. So BMJ Impact Analytics was born. So, it is difficult and time consuming to, get through so much data and measure the real world impact, but it is critically important, right? And BMJ Impact Analytics offers users the coverage and depth to make confident decisions and functionality that saves them time. So BMJ Impact Analytics provides access to the most comprehensive and up-to-date database covering medical and health fields, providing greater depth and breadth and coverage in this area. So users can access health policy documents, clinical guidance for the first time ever, I believe, grey literature and clinical decision support documents that cite funded research in publications or other research outputs. So it's not like a database like Scopus or Dimensions or Web of Science where you go in and see what your research outputs are. Here in this, you're seeing where you have been cited in health and social care policy within clinical guidelines, global clinical guidelines, I should say, and within clinical decision support tool, which are used by doctors on the ground to understand patient outcomes, right? It focuses on health and social care, thereby providing greater breadth and depth. And it also provides more depth in terms of impact. So providing citations in other documents not available in similar products, such as grey literature or citation to citation in policy documents. And through its link with BMJ best practice, it's the only tool that shows patient outcomes. So that's taking users one step closer to understand how their research has affected patient care and medical practice, you see. Citations can also be easily accessed in context, which saves time for users. And as you know, some policy documents are over 100 pages long, and it takes, teams currently manually teams actually have to read this to understand and understand where, if at all, they've had any impact at all. So what are the key features of BMJ Impact Analytics? Well, BMJ Impact Analytics has been developed with medical funders and institutions. And its intuitive and friendly design makes insights accessible to everyone. And this slide provides an overview of the key features that it has, right? So you can track the impact of policy documents, gaining insight into links between the policy documents. You can, in a couple of clicks, click the context of your impact. You can get closer to patient outcomes through our broader coverage and clinical guidelines and citations with BMJ best practice. And users can search documents from over 30,000 global organizations in over 1,500 health-related sources in nearly 200 countries. You can search by region, country, source states, government sources, particularly institutions, think tanks or NGOs, and as well as SDGs. BMJ Impact Analytics functionality can help identify the impact of policy on policy, white papers and law, the impact of research outputs on policy, guidelines and grey literature, which journals facilitate impact, which authors write in which areas of policy, and it will help you also understand your policy gaps as well. So how do we do all of this? Right. We actually use machine learning algorithms to read through so much of this text to get through and understand what we put into the database itself. So BMJ Impact Analytics can provide metadata about policy documents, clinical guidance and clinical decision support documents that cite funded research and publications. And it's that we use a number of different ways to understand. So the term health is used in the broadest sense to include anything that impacts health and well-being of populations. Policy documents are defined broadly as documents written for or by policymakers as well. So we collect data globally from over 180 countries in multiple languages as well. So you'll see policy documents in French, Spanish, Italian, I've seen them in Chinese, in Finnish, and other Scandinavian, in German as well. And these documents are made searchable through indexing, categorization, analysis of key terms and key topic areas, again, using machine learning algorithms. When we then make the connections with these documents with scholarly research outputs and the news media, showing the influence of research on policy and of the policy on further policy. BMJ Impact Analytics can also share where a piece of research has been picked up by an influential policy brief or report or guideline that in return picked up in an official policy or legal documents. So searches can be restricted by regions, countries, sources, states, government sources, particularly universities, as well as think tanks and NGOs. So we have a minimum criteria for most of the sources we track. They have to be official government sources, such as think tanks or IGOs. They must regularly publish policy documents. The policy documents that they publish should be publicly available as well. And clinical guidance must come from recognized guidelines providers, such as societies, ministries of health. So we're talking, you know, the likes of the NIC or the CDC or the American Thoracic Society, etc. So some source types like NGOs engaging in policy work are considered for inclusion on a case-by-case basis. And for that, we look at, is the source often cited by official documents? Do they cite research or any policy documents? And do they regularly publish documents of interest? Or is it just on like ad hoc basis? And if it's the latter, and are the documents published ever cited? So these things are important for us when we're adding new documents. And we're very keen, you know, as we work with more universities or with medical funders or even pharma, that, you know, if there are particular sources that they want and we haven't got them, or perhaps they're further down in our pipeline, we would work with you to try to include them to make the data universe that we're searching from a lot richer. So what makes BMJ Impact Analytics unique? It's the only tool focused on health and social care. It focuses on to provide greater depth and breadth of key medical and health-related sources worldwide. It's the only tool providing links to patient outcomes through its integration with BMJ best practice used by clinicians at the point of care. It helps institutions gain insights of impact on patient outcomes. It saves time by providing citations and context, allowing them to easily not only see where it's been cited, but also how it's been cited as well. And I'll show you that in a moment when I do a demo. It provides greater depth into citations, showcasing further links between policy documents, which provides even greater insight into how research is being used by policymakers around the world. And it's developed through testing with medical funders and medical institutions, and means that it really has been adapted to the use cases and the ways that the institutions want to search, analyze, and share their impact for medical research. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take you to a demonstration. So what I've already done is preloaded a university. So for this demonstration, I've chosen Stanford University because I know they have a large medical school. And what we can automatically see is a quick idea about where this institution is having impact. So you see the usual kind of US, UK, and Europe, but we can also see they're having places in impact such as Lebanon, Greece, Cape Verde, Malta, Mauritania, for example. And these are the kind of citation sources. So the World Health Organization, the RAND, the NICE guidelines, the state of Washington, for example. And it just gives us a sort of quick and dirty overview of where exactly we're getting impact for Stanford University. What I can also see is here who the top researchers are that are being cited in policy, not just top researchers ever from Stanford, but the ones that have been cited in policy. And here you can see this particular research output from this article. So if I click on this, for example, it will take me out to the publisher page where I can then review the article. But here it's taken me to the exact section within the text where this has been cited. So the machine learning algorithms are reading the full text of a policy document or a guideline and then taking you to the exact page and where within the text. So this has like 3 citations, but I've seen 350, I've seen 400 citations from some of these, but this is obviously quite a niche one. So this is from the American Academy of Ophthalmology that has been cited there. Here, for example, in this research output, it's been cited by the Endocrine Society as well. On the left-hand side, you can also see the supported funders as well. So we get this kind of data from FundRef. So you can see of supporting funders to be the likes of the Medical Research Council, Cancer Research UK, Department of Health, NIH, as the CDC, World Health Organization, lots and lots of like Pfizer, for example. You've also got corporates in there, and lots of other different types of organizations, small as well as large, like for example here, Department of Health of the Australian government as well, Canadian Institute of Health and Research, AstraZeneca, so many here. Here you can also look by the different types of policies, government think tanks. You can look by author and which country they're coming from, and look by different types of specialities and research outputs as well. So that's a really good way of seeing this view and seeing who the authors are from Stanford that have been cited, within policy, and I've chosen the topic area here to be medicine, for example. You can export this and you can save it as a search as well. If I then now switch to the clinical guidance view, I will be able to see from with documents connected to Stanford with the topic of medicine, specifically in policy documents, or I can see clinical guidance. So here I can see this policy document, where it's been cited, who the authors are exactly. And if I want to, I can see more citation extracts from there as well. If I click off health guidance and health policy, and I look just by clinical guidance, I'll be able to see where they're having those direct impact with clinical guidance within different countries as well. And I think this is just taking you further into that real evidence, into the into the real world impact that you're having there as well. So here you can see this Stanford authors have been cited by Australian Institute of Health and Medicine, the Intensive Care Society in the UK, the British Society of Haematology. More and more of this kind of guidelines that are coming through. You'll see the NICE guidelines. Here it is, the French Health Authority as well that has been cited. You'll be able to see which journal it cites. You'll be able to see which funder it cites. And you'll be able to tag by different sources as well. You can also see your sustainable development goals and how they're aligned as well. And overall, you're able to also drill down further and click on clinical decision support, which is the BMJ best practice, which shows where you've been cited in the tool that clinicians are using on the ground day to day with patients, and thereby showing you the patient outcomes of the research that has been of the research output of that particular institution. So this was just a very quick whistle-stop tour of BMJ Impact Analytics, but there are a number of other ways that you can search. You can search by DOIs, you can search by ORCID, you can search by putting in the PubMed IDs or the PubMed Central IDs as well. And we can also set up a number of shortcuts where you might want to see policy documents citing authors from Stanford, from WHO, or whatever it is, but there are a number of ways you can search together. It's a great tool for benchmarking, looking at other institutions, also funders and who's funding what, where, and which funder and policy organizations are involved. So I'm going to stop there because I think I've come to my 15 minutes. But if anyone's got any questions, I would be very happy to take any questions that you've got.
Thank you so much, Manisha. And we do have a question. The first one is BMJ Impact Analytics a standalone product, or is it a part of BMJ subscription?
It is a standalone product, yeah. So you don't necessarily have to be a BMJ customer to access this, and you don't necessarily have to be a BMJ best practice customer either to see where you've been cited in BMJ best practice. That is a kind of a premium feature that comes with the product as well. So you can see your patient outcomes irrespective of whether you are a current customer or not.
Are there any more questions?
No.
Does this product also track citations in scholarly literature outside of policy and clinical guidelines?
No, it doesn't. This is very specific to policy and clinical guidance and best practice. There are plenty of other tools that do that kind of thing, but we are very specific to policy.
How does this differ from Overton?
So Overton, good question, right? So they are a collaborative partner. Overton collect that they are the biggest searchable index of all the policy ever, right? So you've got a lot of like social social sciences in there, climate change, all of that kind of stuff. So we did a lot of market research, and we actually also interviewed some Overton customers as well, and the ones that had, like, for example, universities who were using it with who were doing searches within healthcare. They said, we love Overton, but actually what we would just like to see is our information about health policy and healthcare research. And also the thing that we really want is to get closer to the patient outcomes and have clinical guidance in there as well. So BMJ Overton do have some clinical guidance, but it's nothing compared to what BMJ have put in there. We've got small society guidelines. We've got loads and loads of American society guidelines in there as well. So if you really want to, you know, focus and highlight for health and social care, then BMJ Impact Analytics really is the product that is more suited for health and medicine.
Is there a free trial access?
Yes, there is. So just contact me at mbelina@bmj.com and I will be able to sort that out for you. There's my email.
Okay.
Any others?
And you will get a chance again at the end after the other two presentations. We'll open it back up for Q&A for all three of our presenters. But thank you so much, Manisha, for your presentation.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah. And up next, we have Lorna Vasica with AIP, who's going to be talking with us. Take it away, Lorna.
Afternoon, I'm Lorna Vasica, and I've been with AIP Publishing for 10 years. April 1st was 10 years. And I wanted to bring to you together just building tomorrow, today, accelerating the physical sciences. And can everyone see my screen? All good? I'm hoping.
Yes.
Great, thank you. So to start off, science never stands still. It evolves and improves, shaping new ways of thinking and driving scientific progress, bringing people and ideas from across the physical sciences together. Today, I'm sharing how AIP Publishing is evolving and building a living network of knowledge that sparks thinking, connects people, and empowers a vibrant global community to use science for good. American Institute of Physics, American Institute of Physics Foundations, and AIP Publishing revealed a shared vision through our new identity. Our new look reflects our common values, belief in the power of community, discovery, and collaboration, energy and excitement for the world in which we work, and a joint commitment to advancing, promoting, and serving the physical sciences for the benefit of humanity. AIP Publishing is committed to finding a path towards sustainable OA publishing. Our expanding portfolio of open access publications deliver the benefit of openness while championing author priorities, global impact, and research sustainability. We publish a suite of gold open access journals, and our author select option enables authors to make their paper open in all or other titles. Earlier this year, we announced the latest additions to our expanding OA portfolio, APL Energy and APL Quantum. APL Energy aims at bridging the gap between groundbreaking research and technological innovation. APL Quantum seeks to build connections between academia and industry while accelerating important translational research. Together, these journals advance open science while maintaining the high-quality peer review ethos that serves as a hallmark of our portfolio. And right here, sign up for alerts. If you want to find out when the first article gets published, sign up for alerts. We included the URLs at the bottom. So a science showcase, highlights. So every article, almost every article that we have, it has a highlight. So highlight summarizes new published research in concise 250-word summaries, benefiting both the journal authors and the scientific community. Science give authors another way to promote their research and provides a place for scientists and science enthusiasts to quickly and easily scan the latest breakthroughs in the world of physics. When looking at an article, look for this symbol, SCI, and check out what your peers are reading. In our continued quest to develop new resources for learning, in 2020, AIP Publishing launched ebooks to help bridge a gap in the physical sciences. Our books collections were developed thanks to a thorough series of focus groups with our librarian community. We designed a collection of digital books that would serve the need for foundational knowledge and support its readers' needs. From content scope to design, from online functionality to customer support, AIP Publishing ebooks reflect the voice of our customers. With 83 books published since the launch in 2020, these books provoke readers to discover, investigate, learn, explore, and retrieve. So since the launch in 2020, we had a collection 1. We have 40 original ebooks that were published between 2020 to 2021. Collection 2 covering 43 original ebooks, and we completed that collection in March. And we have our AAPT book archive, and those were originally published in 1977, between 1977 to 2017, and we digitized those for the first time. We applied best practices for achieving educational goals, cultivating proficiency, and mastering techniques in subject areas, including but not limited to nanotechnology, quantum mechanics, optics, optical polymer science, biological physics, and photonics. As a publisher, our goal is to expand the impact of research now and into the future. Our resources and programs help produce stronger and clearer content, reaching most influential readers and ensuring that your work is discovered by anyone who needs it. An important focus of AIP Publishing's DEI program is to assess the current demographic composition of our authors and editorial base, as well as those of our partner societies. We joined the Framework for Action, a coalition formed by the Royal Society of Chemistry, designed to undertake massive efforts to better reflect the diversity of our respective research communities and ensure a more inclusive and diverse culture within scholarly publishing. We have dedicated ourselves to a publishing landscape that eliminates barriers and promotes inclusion and representation at every step of the process. Through collaboration with our scientific community and publishing partners, we're able to support a broad community of physical scientists. Our publishing partners expand the breadth and depth of our portfolio, bringing together people and ideas from across the physical sciences that help amplify and unleash human potential. Our partnership with the American Association of Physics is committed to enhancing understanding and appreciation of physics through teaching. The American Journal of Physics and the Physics Teacher are 2 peer-reviewed journals we publish in partnership with AAPT. The American Journal of Physics content covers novel approaches to laboratory and classroom instruction, insightful articles on topics in classical and modern physics. The Physics Teacher is dedicated to the teaching of introductory physics at all levels. The journal includes tutorial papers, current research, and news in physics, as well as history, philosophy, and biography. This partnership also produced a range of professional ebooks, and I spoke about it before, the AAPT Book Archive, which is a collection of classical books that offer introductory and easy-to-read resources that enable educators to help students better understand essential subjects through hands-on experience and learning. AIP Publishing participates in worldwide initiatives to build more connections across the scientific community. Our industry partners are visionary organizations that help to shape the future of communications in the sciences with initiatives that include Initiative for Open Citations, Initiative for Open Abstracts, and membership in the Directory of Open Access Journals. This month, AIP Publishing and our publishing partners will migrate our content to a new home on Silverchair's industry-leading platform. We will benefit from Silverchair's continuous feature deployment that ensures AIP Publishing keeps pace with the latest industry requirements and, of course, our user expectations. The migration requires both AIP Publishing and our publishing partners to be nimble, efficient, and responsive while continuously evolving our rich and accessible experience for the users we serve. We've already sent out 2 notifications to administrators, but if you haven't received it and if you have questions, please email our customer experience team and they will answer it for any questions for you. I think we can all agree that science belongs to everyone. It should be practiced, published, and available to anyone who seeks it. This is the heart of AIP Publishing's mission. It's what drives scientific progress, and it's what drives AIP Publishing. So I wanted to thank you for attending this presentation. And if you have any questions, you connect with me, Lorna Visita, and here's my email address, and Melissa Gonzalez, our marketing manager, and there's her email address, mgonzalez@aip.org. So,
Thank you so much, Lorna. We actually do have a question. We have a couple. What tools are used to extract the highlight sentences in the summaries for the SciLight project? Are they extractive or generative, or are they written by humans?
I'm going to have to check and put that answer in when we send the PowerPoint, the presentation.
Okay.
I'll make a note of it and ask my team.
I see Melissa is moderating the chat as well, so I think she's going to circle back with that. Okay, there was another one. Let me find it. Let me scroll back. Oh, can you address your response to GPT generated and GPT assisted content?
No, I can't. I'm going to have to ask my editorial team. I know we're looking at different things, but I can't at this time.
Okay.
But I will make sure, those 2, I'll make sure and get back to you on it. Definitely.
Okay. Does anyone else have any more questions for Lorna? And Lorna, thank you so much again. And like we did before, at the end of the presentations, you guys, if you think of any more questions, you'll have another opportunity to ask those. Okay. So next up, thank you so much. Next up will be John Dillon with ProQuest. Hi, John. Take it away.
Hey, how are you? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let me just share my screen here. Okay, so I'm gonna try and get through both a few slides and a demo here. Thank you so much for staying for the session. It's great to see so many people on the call still. My name is John. I'm the product manager for TDM Studio, which launched in the middle of the pandemic, and not the best time to launch new product, but the product is still thriving, which is great. So I want to start with this slide here, and this is a very, I think, a very good setup slide because it shows the demand for these types of NLP, data science, text mining tools for research, and also access to data as well. So this slide here on the right side, we've basically taken all of the dissertations from the ProQuest dissertations and theses collection. So it's the largest full text dissertation set, I think, in the world. I think in the world, and it has. Don't quote me on this second metric because I think I did it a while ago. But when I was calculating the sheer vast size of the text in comparison to English language Wikipedia, I think it was multiple times larger, which was still shocks me. But what you can see here are the top terms that authors are assigning to their dissertations as they submit them over the last 5 years. So this is based on 593,000 dissertations from all over the world. And this is the last 5 years in this chart. What you can see in the last 5 years, anyone who has been at the conference for the last 2 days already could have guessed this, but something like machine learning, this blue line is top of the chart. So it's the most submitted area of research where graduate research is being produced, and also undergraduate research. You can see not far beyond that is this green bar, which is deep learning, also related to machine learning, data science, NLP, building some of the large language models. And it's growing as well. So it's you can see the blue lines and green lines are not getting smaller. If you compare it to something like leadership, another super broad topic here, which is shrinking. So yeah, so screen sharing. See the slides and the speaker are both equal size with each. I just see this webinar chat here from Antje. Are other people experiencing the same issue that Antje mentioned here? No. Okay, so it might be okay. So it might be okay. So it might just be now it's switched. You can resize.
That's clear.
This. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, great. So the question, of course, is with this bloom and surge in graduate research in academia, how do we support it? You know, what are the tools we need to support this type of machine learning? And we're seeing this trend across disciplines and universities. And these are just a few case studies that have been done with TDM Studio. So all across the disciplines, science to humanities, it's really exciting. So one I'd like to highlight is this one with Daniel McFarlane at Stanford and diversity innovation paradox in science, very highly cited paper and important work, all the way to newspaper coverage as well here, newspaper coverage of COVID, and then also other dissertation analysis from Virginia Tech, all the way to humanities. You know, what is genre? How do we talk about fiction? So go to the next slide here. Oh, here we go. One more. Yep, here we go. Okay, so I think there's have been working on the product for almost 7 years now, and I think there's primarily 3 things that researchers need in an academic context to support this type of work. Let me just keep an eye on the time here as well. One is access to great data. They need access to great data to build the models, to train the models, to fine-tune the models, to extract interesting findings, like my very simple chart of counting the most common topic and dissertation content over the last 5 years. So they need great content. And that's one thing that we have within TDM Studio. So a lot of the content that you already know and may be familiar with within ProQuest, including now some government content we're piloting with, is available with TDM Studio. So just to give you the highlights, dissertations and theses. So we talked about that, more than 3 million full text dissertations, and I think more than 5.7, 5.8 when you include A&I records. Okay, so that's one area. And then newspaper content. So I think, again, this is my biased opinion, but I think it's the best place to data mine newspaper content. So super high value newspapers like the New York Times going back to 1851, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, as well as other world newspapers, Sydney Morning Herald, South China Morning Post, just to name a few. So yeah, that's the first thing, great content. Second thing is, I think, and this is, I think, another key area where the library has an opportunity to play a role, is graduate student researchers, especially when they're starting out, they need a sort of inflection. There's an inflection point where showcasing what's possible with text mining and data science and machine learning can influence their career, can influence their research project, and even just exposing folks to this type of work can be vastly impactful. So, you know, a 30-minute session, what's possible with text mining? I mean, could impact the course of a researcher's career. That's the second thing. And the third thing is they need an efficient platform to do this on. So, you know, they can't, getting data in, 800 different XML structures, and then having to basically build a search engine to use the data. All of this creates roadblocks and barriers. So that's why we built TDM Studio, to help address those. Let me see if I can advance again here. Help to address those needs. So there's two pieces to TDM Studio, and again, I'm going to try and squeeze in a quick demo here. There's a visualization interface. So you create a data set, conduct a visualization. That's it. Super simple, very straightforward, no coding needed. We have 3 visualization interfaces, and basically anyone in 10 minutes can get a sense for, okay, these are some of the applications of data science and NLP. Just few simple examples. And then the other interface we have is a coding interface. So full programmatic access, supporting Python and R, to full text access to all of the content within the studio. So this has vast potential, obviously. We've had many, many researchers use it for anything you can dream up and write in Python or R. So, lots of researchers bring in models, they train the model, they fine-tune the models, or they extract derived data, and then they use that for various purposes outside the studio. So, okay, so I'm going to hop over and show a demo here. That's okay. Super quick demo. Let me see here. Get out of presenter mode here. Okay. Share. Okay, so here we go. Very quick live demo here. So this is TDM Studio. You log in through a web browser, and 2 interfaces, Workbench and Visualization, both to support those broad-ranging needs. What's possible with text mining to get that inflection point in research, and then also, I want everything. I want to data mine 180 million newspaper articles in the weekend. I need full programmatic access, things like that. So let's see here. So, okay, so quickly, the Workbench. So I go here, I create a data set. I can create a data set using this tool here. So let's say I'm interested in the New York Times. So I can select my New York Times from 1980 forward, or all the way back to 1851. And then this will pull up, well, it should pull up if my session token hasn't expired here. There we go. So it should pull up full access to all of the New York Times articles since 1980. So it's 4 million documents, full text. You can see some of the titles here from, I think it's today's newspaper. And then you create your data set. Could split it by date range. Data sets can be huge, each up to 2 million documents. You can have 10 of them at a time. You can make more of them. And then once you make your data set, it appears here. So I've made a quick one here, looking at all the articles from September 2001. So 8,851 New York Times articles from September 2001. Then the data set automatically transfers to the virtual coding environment. And within the virtual coding environment, the data set appears here, again, full text access, and you can write and run scripts against it. So we include lots of sample scripts for getting started, word counting, document counting, and then more sophisticated ones, like this one uses a BERT-based, sentence-level BERT-based model to calculate the affective or emotional states of newspaper articles. So we can look at my data set of New York Times articles from September 2001. And then what we can do is we can calculate the emotion for each sentence in each article, and then we can plot those over time. And what's interesting here, of course, is how does the impact, what is the impact, the emotional impact of the unfortunate terrorist attack in September 2001. So these lines represent emotion over time. There are 30 ticks at the bottom here, and these are the days for each day of September 2001. And you can see here, let me just move these over a little bit so it's a little bit easier here. You can see how emotions change. So the green line here is fear. Fear usually hovers around 6% of expressed emotion on a daily basis. You can see it shoots up to almost 12%, remains elevated for the rest of the month. So this is the type of thing researchers can do within the studio: create data sets, conduct analysis, export results, metadata, derived data as well. So you can see happiness tumbles as well, understandably. So coding interface, we're seeing lots of interest in this, which is exciting. And then the non-coding interface over here, same thing, you create a data set, but no coding needed. Basically, just show me what's possible. Maybe I don't know Python or R, maybe I don't want to know Python or R. but I want to see what's possible with text mining. So you create your data set, and then it's paired with different analysis methods. So this is a very straightforward analysis method looking at drinking water over the last many years in the New York Times as well. And this is where I live in Michigan. And if you go back 10 years, you see there's this town of Flint. There are no points on Flint because evidently there are no locations that our algorithm finds geocoded to Flint. Then, of course, you have the unfortunate switch from Lake Huron drinking water to the Flint River. Lots of folks are poisoned with lead because the pipes leach lead. And then you jump ahead 10 years post-crisis, and you can see, okay, there's lots of points on the map on Flint now, over Flint and much more than Detroit or Chicago. So you can click on this and you can see some of the articles that have been contain locations, containing strings that have been identified as locations, and then we've attempted to geocode to the Flint in Michigan. So that's sort of a very brief overview, and I'm going to stop sharing and I'll open things up for any questions.
Thank you so much, John. And we do have a question. Does TDM Studio only contain textual data? Do you have products containing chemical structural data, reaction data, or image data?
Wow, it's a great question. So currently the answer is only textual data. So that being said, tons of interesting textual data. And the only thing I'll add there is that the text sometimes includes things like citations at the end, which could be valuable, or other structured data within the text. We are looking at adding image data in the future because we do have also lots of image data. It's a great question. Thank you so much for it.
Okay, how does access work? Is this something that you subscribe to that anyone can access at any time and run all the analysis they want? Or is access something we need to arrange and each session is paid for individually?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we basically sell the solution in two ways. One is as a single workbench for a research team, and then we also sell it university-wide. We do offer free trials, 30-day free trials you're able to sign up to and see what the product's all about. I can drop that in the chat afterwards as well. And basically the product works with the content that your university subscribes to. So that's another critical piece here. Another great question. Thank you so much.
Do you need to subscribe to other ProQuest resources to get the full use of this product?
Yeah, that's a fabulous point. Absolutely, you do. So one of the things that TDM Studio does is it opens up incredible content that is not really readily available in other ways. And in order to get the value out of TDM Studio, or the most value, I would say definitely subscribing to some of that content would be key.
Okay. Any other questions for John?
I'll drop my details in the chat here as well. I want to thank everyone as well for staying for the presentation. Yeah, thank you, Carolyn, for organizing it.
Yes. Okay. And now we're going to open the floor back up for questions. If you'll just specify which presenter that you would like the question to be directed towards. It says, is that subscriptions from ProQuest or from anybody?
So that's another great question. So right now it's ProQuest. We're looking at the possibility of adding Web of Science data within TDM Studio. So that may be coming. If you are interested in Web of Science data in TDM Studio, I'd love to hear from you because it'll help prioritize that development. But you can bring any other data that you have rights to or access to into TDM Studio as well.
Another question for you, John. Does the harvesting in TDM conflict with a subscriber university's download limits?
As far as I understand the question, I don't think there's any conflict there. Although, please feel free to clarify if I've missed it. Basically, TDM Studio, you work within the studio, you create your results, and then you export those results. So that would be different than, let's say, downloading from the ProQuest platform for the purpose of, reading a few articles or a lit summary, things like that.
Okay. Are there any other questions for John or Manisha or Lorna?
There was a question in the chat from Michelle, and I believe this may be for John. It says, can an organization upload their own? I'm guessing they're asking about uploading data for analytics there.
Yeah, absolutely. So any data that you have rights to, or any data you have rights to, you can upload into TDM Studio. We've had some folks, maybe they have access to different research or newspaper content and they want to use one of our models in the studio against that data. Absolutely, they can bring their own data in. They can mix it with our content. So lots of flexibility. They can also derive results from our content and pull it out of the studio and work with it with their content. So lots of ways. Yeah, thank you again. A really good question.
Okay. Thank you again, Manisha, Lorna, and John for your presentations. Oh, here comes another question. I'm sorry. This is for John. Does TDM retain data you upload?
So we keep it in the hosted environment, but you have complete control over that hosted environment. And once you're either done with the environment or let's say the subscription ends, then we no longer keep it unless you'd like us to keep it. So we don't share it with anyone. We don't use it for any other purposes. It's basically your own workspace within the studio is a good way to think about it.
Okay. Okay, here's one for Manisha. Is the BMJ Analytics product B2C or only B28? I'm sorry, B2B.
That is actually a good question. So we are selling to institutions directly. Yeah, so we are giving universities access through their institutional licenses in that way. Having said that, if there are researchers who, need to have a trial for a week, also, I'm open to provide some access if on a case-by-case basis, if they want to come to me, no problem.
Okay. Thank you guys again. And Leah, I'll turn it back over to you to end our session for the day. Thank you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to our presenters. I wanted to take a brief moment to thank our attendees for being here and for your general sense of kindness and grace. We've had a couple of situations where there were difficulties with slides. People were very encouraging in the comment section. And then I'm keeping an eye on the Twitter thread from today. Someone said, I love it when someone replies to a question with, I don't know, I'll have to talk to someone and get back to you. It's scary to get a question like that, but they happen. Better a delay than a falsity. That's paraphrasing a little bit there, but that's I love our community. So thank you very much. Thank you to our attendees. Complete the attendee evaluation. We're going to send it to you by email. Your feedback is super important to help us know what we're doing well and how we can improve. I'd like to thank again our sponsors for your support. AIP Publishing, BMJ, and ProQuest TDM Studios. Thank you for being here, for your presentations, and for your support of Charleston in Between. Announcement coming soon. The call for papers will be opening later this month for the 2023 Charleston Conference. Our in-person event will be held November 6th through 10th in Charleston, and then online November 27th through December 1st. So we're super excited about that. Look for email announcements coming soon. Thank you all for being here for Charleston in Between. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.